Hello friends, and welcome back to Fresh Perspective, where we'll take another look at life. Today I'll continue our series on pain, and I'll specifically focus on two ways that we use our minds to either extend and amplify our pain and suffering. So there's two things that we do, or two things that we use. We use our memory and our imagination. Memory has to do with the past, imagination with the future. So in this case, we remember things that happened to us that caused us pain, and we relive that when we remember it. In that case, in terms of imagination, we create the pain that will happen in the future. Someone will reject us, or we'll try something and we'll fail. So we use our imagination to create pain in the future. But the thing is, we experience both of these in the present. So these affect the way we feel, think, act, and even what we believe in the present. So if you remember something from the past that happened that hurt you, you have to fill in the blanks. So maybe someone was rude to you, and now you have to think why they did that. Why were they rude to you? And maybe you think about things that you did wrong, or what's wrong with you. Why was that person mean to you specifically? So you use your imagination in the past to fill in those blanks. And once you've filled in those blanks, you just remember that as part of the story, as if that is what happened. But actually, you had to use your imagination to fill in those blanks, given a reason. And when it comes to the future, you imagine something will go wrong. You'll try something and it'll fail because of this reason or that reason, or you'll initiate a conversation and you'll get rejected. So you create that hurt by using your imagination. But if you imagine that future enough times, you start remembering it as if it happened. So it hasn't happened yet. You imagine it happening. You imagine a bad outcome that caused you pain, causes you to fear the future or taking action like we spoke about before. And now when you think about the future, it's as if you are remembering that outcome. And then you experience the doubt, the pain, the fear, all of that in the present. And that's how, to use the metaphor we used previously, that's how pain becomes your master, because now it uses that fear, that doubt, that pain to control the way you act, feel, think, and believe in the present. So what can we do about this? Well, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but I want to give you a very clear thing that you can use to start turning this around, to make the pain your mentor so you can learn from it. And here's what you do. Simply start becoming aware that this is actually what you are doing. You are using your memory and then adding your imagination to create a certain past, to give that past meaning. And you are using your imagination to create that future, and then remembering that future as you think about the future again and again. And when you become aware of all the negative ways, the limiting ways that you use memory and imagination, either for the past or the future, when you become aware of how you do that, then you can start changing it. You can start telling a different story. It doesn't mean you change the events, but you give different meaning to the events. So when we talk about the past, instead of thinking the way that person treated me, or this happened because there's something wrong with me, or I deserve it, or anything along those lines, you change the story. You say, well, maybe that person had a bad day. Maybe that person is just someone that doesn't like people like me, but that doesn't mean there's something wrong with me, etc., etc. I think you catch the drift there. And in terms of the future, we also spoke about this before in another video, but you can use your imagination to create the positive outcome that you want. And the more you do that, every time you think back to the future, when you think about the future again, you start remembering that positive outcome. And now that affects your present experience. So the way you think about taking action now changes. Let me add just a little snippet to it. If you try and control the past, try and control the future, you actually lose control in the present. So you have to focus on controlling the present. That means becoming aware of what you think about the past, what you think about the future, what you remember, what you imagine. In either case, you'll change your experience in the present. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me again. I hope you've gained a fresh perspective and that it helps you to better deal with pain and suffering in your life. Until next time, bye-bye.